Welcome to World of Monsters, and welcome to All About Kraken, Part 2. Enjoy. Okay, let's jump into the strengths and weaknesses. Of course, among the strengths is size. Use of their environment, and their natural environment is the ocean, which offers sailors or any type of human adventurers out there a huge challenge to be trifled with. It has a powerful beak that can break through armor, steel, through wood, or pierce through the bottoms of huge ships that guarantee their treacherous sinking. Being a water-based invertebrate, such as many others out there, it has the ability to also heal faster and regenerate. Also, don't forget it has the ink, therefore if a larger predator, a more aggressive predator, or a group of predators attack this creature, it can shoot out ink and quickly swim away. Keep in mind that octopuses and squids can actually maneuver through the water extremely fast, especially when they're retreating. Also, our 8-armed friends, yes, and we refer to them as arms, not legs. Why? Because of their crazy abilities. Each arm is actually self-thinking. Not only is the brain located within the head part of the body, if you can distinguish the difference between the abdomen and the mantle, but there is a brain in there, and at the base of each arm, each tentacle, there is a ganglion. And the ganglion is a part of our brains that is responsible for motor-type functions and similar abilities. Therefore, as the Kraken is gripping a boat with one arm, it's not focused on that single arm. It's controlling each and every tentacle separately, as thinking and focusing and helping and working with the main brain system to figure out what it's doing all at the same time. Imagine how hard it is to you to rub your head with one arm and your belly with the other in the same motion and then switch them and do them in the opposite motions. And that's only 2 arms. A Kraken can do that with all 8 of its arms without breaking a sweat. We can also confirm that it's an excellent problem solver, as we can see with its smaller form in today's tests and study. Considering it spends a lot of its time underwater and has those huge bulging eyes, it probably has excellent vision, especially when it goes up towards the surface. Although the sun may be a little bit blinding, so ship attacks at night were probably more common. Another positive thing on its side is that when it is surfaced and it is placed on land or finds itself on land, possibly at night it even comes out and emerges to search for some prey on land, it has the ability to crawl along the surface, although not being used to gravity, as it doesn't have to worry about that underwater. It's a bit sluggish and may appear a bit clumsy, but nonetheless it has the ability to move around on land until it finds a water source where it can slip back into happily. Also, being an invertebrate and having no exoskeleton, it also has the ability to be squished and enter very small spaces. Therefore, if it wants to break into a ship, a large ship, or some caves underwater, it's no challenge for the Kraken if the opening is at least as wide as the distance between its eyes. And finally, for the strengths, its tentacles are lined with hundreds of suckers and possibly spines at the ends. At the ends of all the tentacles, maybe, or just at the ends of 2 of the longer tentacles, if you so choose to create those, like those of squids. Weaknesses: dryness, waterless environments. As mentioned, dryness could hinder the creature's smooth movement abilities and breathing, but in addition you have the factor that now it has to deal with gravity. Pollution, especially since it lives in an environment that it connects with so directly. Therefore, if you imagine that environment being intoxicated with acids or oils or other harmful liquids, the Kraken's life may be highly endangered. Also, it is soft-bodied. Therefore, how best to battle a Kraken? As we mentioned, it does heal quick, but not instantaneously. Therefore, large blades, swords, to chop off tentacles, and even the suckers would be very effective. Also, fire. Anything with high heat can be used easily to scare the creature away, as it's used to the cold depths of the waters. And also, along those lines, bombs, and other fire and lightning-based magic. When researching the ecology of the Kraken, we can find that its life is quite solitary, feeding on fish, whales, crustaceans, and any other animals small enough for it to attack and devour without risking its own life every time. Magic? Does it have any magical abilities? It very well could be a possible adaptation, possibly shooting off some kind of magic, or something that influences their whirlpools or creates them, maybe even some camouflage magic, or tidal wave abilities, something along those lines. It's possible. Finally, let's look at the factions. Allies, there probably wouldn't be many, as this creature creature is territorial, meaning even its own type is not invited. Only from time to time it will allow for the opposite sex to enter its protected region for breeding, after which they return to their lone solitary lives. Probably not too many serious enemies. Most would be prey out there in the oceans, possibly other large carnivorous creatures in the waters, fish such as the megalodon, and gigantic sea turtle related creatures. And of course, don't forget humans. Okay, let's jump into the power level now. 1 being a sea slug, 5 being a sea serpent, and 10 being a creature outside the limits of time and space. We can give this one a large range. I could say 5, 6, or even up to 7, considering that its circumference has been mentioned to be 1.5 miles. That's pretty huge. And that might be an average Kraken. So if we're looking at larger specimen, we may be comparing beyond giants, beyond dragons, up to the large elementals out there, and monstrous golems, and on to even sizes of gods. I probably wouldn't go much beyond the 7, as that size would be something different. That would start to become a sort of lord, becoming a dire Kraken. A dire Kraken! Yes, the next step up in huge monstrous abominations. Okay, let's be realistic as we get on this channel. 5, 6, or 7. Let's say 5 to 7. Any less than 5, then we're probably not talking about a monster here, but we're into more of the realms of the giant octopus, the giant squid, and the colossal squid. And keep in mind, it has the ability to create whirlpools. Just imagine how huge whirlpools are and how much damage they can do, sucking down everything within that watery cyclone. Now, similar beasts out there. Let's start with, and in the most honorable way that we can, Cthulhu, which is more often depicted with a humanoid body and the head of an octopus or a kraken. Basically, we can take it as a giant or titan mixed with a kraken. The windlass of Dragonlance, the Cetus lusca of cryptozoology, or globsters. And finally, let's talk about some sources focusing more on films. The Kraken has been in stories since the 13th century, but now it has more memorable appearances from Clash of the Titans, the 1981, and the 2010, although it has taken on a bit of a different appearance in those movies. 1906, Under the Seas, Kraken, Tentacles of the Deep, 2006. Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest. If you want to see a big Kraken taking over the ship, check that one out. Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea episode, 1964. Watcher in the Water from Lord of the Rings, which has also been accepted as a freshwater type of Kraken. And then we also see representation of giant octopi and squid in The Goonies and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode of Monsters and Myth and Legend, as we talked about the Kraken. This has been Monster Master Arthur, and please do let me know which creature you would like to see next.